Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Tarot for Our Times. I tried to schedule ahead and it didn't work. I do believe that I need another tutorial with Arlene because I'm still learning this YouTube stuff. So at any rate, there will be like 3 other videos that'll be waiting forever for me to come on, but I'm coming on this one. Okay, so we are getting into the home stretch with the elections, and that will be one of my topics, but it'll be the third one. But before I do that, I really want to tell everybody to, as soon as they talk about polls or anything like that, just switch it off to another channel. Don't watch that stuff. It's going to make you crazy. But I will be doing a reading on the polls, which are not the most accurate in the world, but I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I will be starting off with an angel card as a message for this week or for the next few days coming up, because I'm going to be doing these videos more often. So let's see. The archangel we need to work with is this is a good one. Archangel Jophiel is saying to go outside, get fresh air, connect with nature to relieve stress and gain new creative ideas. So I would say this is some very good advice because I think that's getting us away from the TV set and making ourselves crazy with this. I would also go into a deeper meaning, which I'm planning on doing probably over the weekend, is to go volunteer, knock on doors, and get people to vote. That is the really important thing to do. And I think that will be quite helpful. Get the law of attraction going and just to keep our sanity. So I am going to be doing some quick 3-card spreads, and hopefully people are not joining me on the other one that didn't happen. But at any rate, so my first thing is about, because they all flow into each other, is about Musk and Twitter going all kinds of crazy fascist. I mean, it's just totally insane. And I understand he's losing sponsors in droves. The stock has fallen. So I'm going to want to do a quick 3-card read, followed but with a with an oracle card as kind of the wrapper upper on this, and see what's going on with Twitter with Musk. I really get a sense that this could be a super duper big fail on this. So, okay. We got the 4 of Swords that's saying that he's been pretty much resting on his laurels and just looked at the money, having no idea of what he was getting into. So then the next card we have is, the Queen of Swords in reverse. And this is a very, this is a very negative female energy. And it's all about very, very harsh with words, that sort of thing. I'm trying to, I will get into that. And it's pretty much the angry woman card. And this has been pretty much of a theme that a lot of the pundits have chosen to overlook. So let's see, what do we have here? We have the 8 of Pentacles, pretty much planning without looking at the whole picture, which I would say is definitely him. So I think the angry female energy, and this has been going on for a lot of them, is those who are bringing down Trump will be bringing him down too. So this pretty much talks about a very big fail and underestimating, and just not and just going ahead and doing it, but not looking at the big picture. So we have this. And then to conclude, the concluding card with the Oracle card is the Beauty in a reverse. So, what could have been a very lovely thing, it's just turning very ugly. That's what I'm going to say, is that the conclusion is that Twitter is turning very negative and ugly, and I just don't see where he can sustain himself. So I also have to say, I might do like one read and then another one going into this, but this leads me to the next one of all those really disgusting lies that he told about the Pelosi break-in and assault, which he's had to delete. But there's been some damage done with that. But I'm going to see what the basic energy of that is, and then what I want to do after that is to see a lot of my colleagues on these platforms have been talking about this whole thing, but no one has really gone into what impact is this having on the voters. And since I don't think the polls are very reliable or telling us much of anything, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything about that on the news, except they'll say they're having no effect on it. But I actually want to, in leading into the next thing about pretty much about that whole what's happening with that whole Twitter thing, and the Pelosi thing, and kind of what it's been doing to Twitter. I'll get to the elections in a minute, but okay, I think I'm going to do the smaller cards with this. So we have, okay, so we have, and I'm going to say we have in the past, we have Temperance, and then we have the Knight of Pentacles, which is showing I think that this is the looking at the money factor of this, and that in most decks, the Knight of Pentacles is a pretty slow moving person, and in other readings it can be a good thing. It's like it's like the slow mover who's very careful wins the race. But I'm going to say in this instance, it's about being too slow to see the consequences and the impact of all of these lies that are happening. And then the Nine of Pentacles is also telling me that he's pretty much living in his lap of luxury. That this woman in here is very, you can see the walls up. She's surrounded by money. And that he never really looked at the big picture to see how this was going to impact him. So I want to take a look at the Oracle card to see pretty much of a conclusion as far as Twitter goes. The shadow self. This is very interesting. What this is really, really saying is that by what he's done in a very short amount of time has really brought out the shadow element of Twitter and social media, and showing that and I would say that you could probably compare this to the High Priestess with her secrets and all this sort of thing. So I'm going to say, to pretty much conclude this, like these really nasty posts and conspiracy theories that he has made about Paul Pelosi and probably a lot of other things, is that the shadow self of Twitter is really going to take over, and it's probably just going to become another one of those hate sites and become irrelevant. So there are some other, um, I think, tribal and some other things that are emerging. They're in their infancies. I'm going to wait and see what happens, but I'm going to say that with Twitter going to the dark side, as what has happened with this Pelosi thing is just really not going to be good. And there are celebrities and the regular Joe Schmoes like you and me. I left as soon as I heard about him taking over several months ago. I just closed my account. I never used it that much anyway. I just closed it down. And so it seems like a lot of people are doing that. So this leads me into the next thing about what effect will all of these lies be having on the election? What is the energy shift? I'm afraid that it's in part going to energize the MAGA people, but I also want to say that there are more of us than there are them. I'm going to say that there may be a certain amount of people that haven't been paying attention, or who haven't. Well, I haven't. I'm going to be voting on Tuesday at the polls, but that this may bring more people out to the polls, and it may be waking people up to the seriousness of this sort of thing. And I've heard other psychics all year, talking about the Great Awakening and raising to the higher consciousness. And I'm not, from the 3D to the 5D and all, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I'm going to say, if I were going to put an interpretation on this could be the awakening of people who have taken a lot of things like our democracy for granted and maybe choose not to, because they don't want to think negative thoughts, maybe haven't been paying attention, that I see if those people will be waking up to go to the polls. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is after I give these a shuffle, I'm going to pick some cards and just to see what is the energy going on. Oh, okay, with this whole thing, and bringing forth, the trips down memory lane to all these, not only January 6th, but what they threatened to do to the governor of Michigan and all kinds of horrible things. So let's see, we've got the Knight of Pentacles. Okay. So I'm going to say this is as so many of us have been doing in these readings, is seeing Pentacles in reverse is pretty much about dark, very dark and crooked money that I'm going to say that has been going into things like the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, that sort of thing. And this is kind of a young card, so I am seeing some of those guys with the red hats that have been doing a certain amount of fundraising. But this could also mean that there's probably some mismanagement of the money too. So, and this is how although I feel as though this person acted alone, I think the money behind him is the money that, that keeps these organizations and the sites and whatever god awful internet things they're on pretty much going. And it's also, this is also pretty much of that 1930s reflection of the 1930s, the economic downturn and inflation and this sort of thing, and kind of arousing the rabble kind of a thing. So there is a negative effect with this. And so I think I might do a number of didn't shuffle that, I better cut that. So I'm going to see. Yeah, so that is not good. Okay, so what do we have here? The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So this is this speaks about karma. Probably going to have the effect of maybe scaring and that Americans really do get motivated by fear. Maybe scaring enough Americans to get out to the polls and vote. But I'm going to say that I'm getting a sense that this could be a very big turning point to all of these neo-fascist types of movements, is that the wheel can be turning against them now, that they could be on their way out, and maybe there have been lessons learned from what happened in Europe before the dawn of World War II. So I think I'm going to need to pull a few more cards. So let's see. The Page of Swords. So, yep. So I'm going to say this is very young, toxic energy, and all the the lies that are told on the internet. That's kind of feeding that machine. But I feel as though I need to draw like another card here to kind of clarify all of this. So, very interesting. Tonight, this is my card. This is in Dutch because that's where I bought the cards. But at any rate, this is the King of Cups. And apparently this evening, Biden is going to be making a very, very important speech. And I believe he's going to be addressing this. And I do, as far as he and Obama go, I don't know if they're going to be changing minds, but I'm really going to say this. I feel as though this could be very much of a rousing up the base, getting more of the base out. And I would have to say, again, as I have said since I saw him at the Teamsters Temple in April of 2019, and they still keep doing it, is that Republicans and other people are really stupid if they underestimate him. Very, very stupid if they do that. So, what I'm saying is that I'm really going to say that I feel as though he means business, and there may be some executive orders to really put some things in place in dealing with these thugs. I mean, that's all they are, is thugs. I will have to say that there is that crowd of people that think he's old, he's weak, he's this, he's that. Boy, is that a mistake to think so. I'm going to say that he's going to probably oh, hello. That he's probably going to be surprising people with the very strength of the talk that he's going to give tonight. And again, it's basically going to maybe arouse the base to get out and vote. So this is interesting. The final card of this, and the Oracle card to conclude this, is Guardian Angel. And I'm going to say that as far as that whole incident went, I really think that maybe Paul Pelosi had a guardian angel looking out after him, which is all well and good. But in following the Biden card, I do feel as though that there's going to be guardian angels help those that help themselves. So I'm feeling as though there could be an executive order that may be protecting some of these people, the Republicans and the Democrats, to give them more security. So, but I do feel as though this could have an effect in rousing up more the Democratic base to come out and vote, which leads me into my final topic of this video, and that is the polls. Now, it's very interesting because I've said this all along, is that my colleagues and I have been saying, do not pay any attention to these polls. They're done. Actually, they're done by Republican companies. Who they're not talking to is the massive numbers of the Gen Z voters that are coming out, and most of them are from college campuses, which means that that's probably heavier on the Democratic level than it is on the Republican. And there are a lot of young women who are being driven by the abortion issue, and which a lot of the talking heads on TV have been poo-pooing, which I think is a big mistake. And I don't think it's only the younger people, but it's people also in the baby boom generation. Many of us who were activists back in the day and do remember women going to butchers before RV Wade. So I'm going to say I'm feeling as though the polls are overlooking. I think inflation is important, but I'm going to say some of these more educated people realize that the Republicans have had no solutions except to cut back on Social Security, Medicaid, this and that. It's the same old song they've been singing for like 90 years now. And it's just not a solution. I'm thinking too many people are stupid enough to buy that. But I'm going to say that perhaps we are underestimating the intelligence of the average American. So all of you out there that are getting really upset by the polls, not to really pay attention to them. And if you want to look at polls, I would say go on this YouTube and go and Google, or YouTube search the about this time for the 2016 presidential election, where they said that Hillary Clinton was out so many points in the poll, and look at those, and I swear you'll feel a lot better. So I'm going to do the final read on the polls. And what are they all about? So we have, okay. 9 of Cups. My interpretation is kind of different from some of my colleagues. And I see this as the pollsters sitting in their little safe cocoon of, being complacent in this sort of thing. And just kind of sitting around and saying, well, we've done it for this way for so many years. We'll just do it. And they're right most of the time. And besides, we've got to think about our sponsors and this and that and all that sort of thing. So then we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. This is telling me that that's funny how they're all, the meanings can be different. They're saying that what they're overlooking is it's the miscommunication of not looking at the younger voters and a lot of these other groups that they are ignoring. And so I would say that this is, since it's in reverse, they're saying this is being ignored. It's almost like, well, they're not picking up, they don't have landlines. They only call landlines. So they're not picking up their landlines. So then we have not the most accurate polling. So let's see. Then we have the Page of Pentacles, which is pretty much kind of like this very sort of naive way of thinking. It's kind of like the old thinking, like they haven't grown up to do something new. And it's kind of like they're sort of like looking at their sponsors and all that sort of thing to see, because they've got their corporate sponsors to consider. So I feel like I should pull another card about the polls. Okay. So here we go with the 2 of Cups, and that's That's pretty much saying that they're still kind of paired up with the old way of thinking and haven't grown and moved on. So that's why I would say not to pay any attention to the poll. So I'm going to see what one of the oracle cards has to say. Okay. So we have harmony here. So this is the final advice. It's like, go out and vote. Really put yourself at peace. Know that by your own personal choice, you can really change the outcome of this. And to pretty much not believe that everything is a foregone conclusion. It's also taking care of yourself, keeping up with the meditation program, using your law of attraction methods, setting out really, really good thoughts and intentions, and then go to vote, get people to vote, go out and, just go out and knock on doors if you have to do that. So what I'm saying is that none of this is, any of this is a foregone conclusion. I personally do not like to predict elections. It's a little superstition of mine, but I'm going to say that we do have the power to change things. I would say that Michael Moore has already, I've talked about this before, Michael Moore has already been speaking of there could be a big blue wave coming. And I'm going to say, if we all make the right choice, and really to have a vision of everyone from Fox to MSNBC just sitting there well, I don't think everything's going to be decided, but to see the trend that the next day they're going to be sitting there scratching their head, because I could say that there could be some elections that they say are really close with probably, like Fetterman and Oz, where they think, well, Fetterman might win, but he'll just squeak it out by a few thousand votes, where it's quite possible there could be a big landslide for him. And then they're there scratching their head. So I would say it's really up to us to do that. And so I would say to definitely keep the faith and listen to the people that have been right. I mean, it's amazing that psychics have been calling this better than people on those news channels. So at any rate, do what you can to make it happen. I will try to be back here soon again, and I'll see you in the funny papers. Goodbye.